This video is going to show you how to hull buffalo a class 2 ship in just one shift. The only thing we need here in equipment, we go to a helmet, we really need this oxygen upgrade, as that will let us only have to go back to the hard jack for oxygen once. Saves quite a bit of time. It helps if you have the 15 tethers upgrade, but you don't need 15 tethers as long as you're just smart about using your tethers efficiently. But it gives us a little bit of wiggle room if we make a mistake, for example. Alright, so I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to find cargo, sounds great. We're going to load it up. Now as soon as we start, we're going to make a beeline for the airlock. We're going to try and figure out which side that airlock is on. This side is great. And our priority is going to be to get this all depressurized immediately, so that we can start cutting it up as fast as possible. So we move through the airlock quickly.
Airlock pressure levels increasing.
And we find the regulator. Vent the atmosphere.
Air pressure level decreasing.
Grab all these goodies while we're here. And we make sure that every element is open. So the cockpit is open, as well as the engine room is open, and there's no doors with any more pressurized sections. So now we're ready to start cutting. We're going to use this cut head, and the cut head does a better job of getting rid of these cut points than the stinger head does. But you've got to be careful. You don't want to destroy extra things. You can hurt these interior aluminum panels, but you can't hurt the exterior nanocarbon panels unless you have a higher degree of cutter than we have right now. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my body, I'm just going to push into this. I'm not going to use my grapple. Then I'm going to use a tether, and I'm going to start tethering this stuff to the processor. Now once this is clear, we're going to tether the reactor right down there. It's going to make its way out. Everything else, we're going to go straight into the processor. We're not going to take the time to take off the lights or the other kind of small furniture items. Now that we've got this open and the vessel's depressurized, we're going to go out to the back. We're going to get this guy off. We're going to fling it into the processor. That should be good enough. Now we can get the reactor out. Slide that out, we're going to tether it down into the barge, and now the reactor's gone. Now you'll notice, by cutting those 4 cut points here on the Class 2 ship, we've already detached this rear end of the ship. So we're going to use 2 tethers, maybe 3 tethers, and that's just going to, whole thing's going to pull it into the processor. The nanocarbon can go in the processor, the titanium structure inside also goes in the processor. So, we've got some fuel tanks, we don't want to destroy those on accident. We'll fling those down to the barge. Got a pipe that's making its way away. That's fine.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
We can also fling that guy down. Now is a fine time. We're going to go ahead. We're going to cut these nacelles off.
Credits deposited.
Send them down. So these nacelles will go in just fine. Now we're going to cut everything inside. You want to be careful if there's any fuel tanks. You want to be careful of the power cell right there. Now, and coolant tanks especially are very finicky. Now notice I can use this cutting head, and I can cut multiple attachment points in one go. So that's a great way to shave a lot of time off of your cutting. I'm going to go through, I'm going to get every attachment point in here, being careful again of that coolant and the power cell. Now all of these exterior walls are detached. So they all need just 1 tether each. I'm going to start with the one closest so that we don't get a traffic jam. I'm going to tether each of these. You'll notice I got a tether warning, so right about here, by the time I get halfway done with this ship, is my warning and make sure the tether connects. There we go, close enough. And now all 4 of those sections
Processing valuable objects.
are off.
Credits awarded.
All right. This halfway point is when you want to check your oxygen and check your tethers. You heard that it's already low. We're gonna grab the power cell while we're here. Oops. Wrong spot. Gonna grab the coolant while we're here as well.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Being careful not to bust it. There we go. So we've got one side of the ship stripped. I look on down. Now, one thing to be very careful of here is that airlock. Here I'm going to switch to the Stinger head because that airlock is very finicky. And if you nick it, it will explode. So I'm going to use a Stinger head. I'm going to sneak through the top of the airlock right here. Now we're past the airlock, we can use the saw head again. Being careful of this coolant tank. There we go. So now this should all be, if you want, you can use your body to push these panels apart rather than having to go back out through there. It's also a good idea, grab the structure, tether off the structure, because sometimes these panels will pull off if you tether from the panel will pull away from the structure. Alright, so now we're low on oxygen, we're out of tethers, so we're going to use this as an opportunity to go back to the hard jack. We're going to grab oxygen and tethers. Now we are ready to keep going. Alright, I've already cut all the pieces in there. So I'm going to tether. Now the airlock is hard to get off. There's not a really good way to do that. So we are gonna go inside now. We're gonna clean out the interior of the ship. And we're gonna do all the cut points on each side of the ship, being careful not to set anything on fire or hit any fuel tanks. Like that. Okay. So now each of these ceiling or each of these floor panels are detached. Gonna go ahead and fling those into the processor. These are primarily aluminum panels or titanium panels and nanocarbon. All that goes in the processor. I need to help that one around the airlock. Now that's not great. The whole point of doing that was to make it easy to fling all this stuff down into the barge. So having it rotate like that doesn't really help. Otherwise we could go straight down into the barge.
Credits deposited.
But not a big problem. But all the interior stuff. Again, the lights and all that stuff is very low value. I'm not too concerned about it. Gonna go ahead, we're gonna cut here, cut here. You get these roof sections. There's one. Grab that while we have it. And then we're going to take these, what were the roof panels, send those into the processor as well. Being careful that this one is the cargo hatch, which goes to the barge.
Processing valuable object. Credits
I'm
awarded.
going to tether that right down to the barge.
Caution. Tether supplies running low.
Alright. Now, going to take all the mechanical and electrics out. We've got the door consoles. We have the air recycler. Normally, if I didn't spin the ship, you could just go straight down into the barge. It's a little easier, but this works fine too.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Oh. Good practice before you take off that interior door. It's to cycle the airlock.
Airlock pressure levels dropping.
So you can get the airlock inside. That's the inside handle. Here's the outside handle. Missed coolant tank. Take that off, send it down to the barge.
Cut it. You got 5 minutes left in this shift. Knock out that work order before they turn the lights out.
Alright. Now, this, the airlock is mostly nanocarbon and aluminum. And the rest of the structure here, there's a lot of aluminum panels on the inside. And we've taken all the nanocarbon out. Up to you where you want to send it. I'm not sure which one is more cost efficient. I always send this part to the furnace. It's because it's mostly aluminum. Grab oxygen while we're here. Free oxygen, why not? We're gonna take this end of it. Gonna do 2 or 3 tethers. This is a pretty heavy piece. So we're gonna send that on into that furnace. We'll lose the nanocarbon on the airlock, but that's okay. Alright, I've been sloppy with cutting. I've got some structure out. I'll see if I can get that later. More valuable stuff's here on the inside. Get the air regulator. Get the furniture out.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Chairs inside are the biggest, so it's worthwhile to line it up really good before you set it out.
Salvage secured. Credits
I'm going to use
deposited.
every last bit. Alright, now be careful. These electric junction boxes will electrocute you, so you want to do that from a safe distance. Uh-oh. Physics glitch. Alright. That was unusual.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Still in early access, clearly. Gonna get the computers out. These can also electrify you, so we just want to be gentle with them.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred. Salvage secured. Credits deposited. Salvage secured. Account credit applied. Salvage deposit accepted.
Lastly, there are these little storage bins. They're about $24,000 a piece. Low value, but I'm going to use every
Salvage
last bit.
secured. Credits deposited.
They're also an awkward shape because they're so long. So I try to just kind of hit them by the corner so that they stay mainly facing left and right. And being farther away from the ship helps with these, actually. If you're really close, then you have to do a lot of rotation
Salvage secured. Account credit
and maneuver
applied.
these out. Also notice that this panel is free once those are done. It's aluminum, so you can send it to the furnace. We're going to send our bin down to the barge. Alright, now we have glass that goes to the furnace. We've got nanocarbon that goes to the processor.
Credits transferred.
So it's really a toss-up. I think the value of the nanocarbon is higher than the value, and the structural titanium is higher than the value of the aluminum panels and the glass. So I send this to the processor and send it either way. That's the last big chunk. That's our last tether.
Time is winding down.
Now it's time to just clean up. We've got about a minute left. We've got that. We've got some other pieces. Some things came down here that
Raw
shouldn't have
material
come.
processed. Credits deposited.
That fuel tank, what is it? Storage bin. Not sure what's down there. Oh, fuel pipe. That's where that fuel pipe went. Goes to the processor. Notice we've got enough oxygen.
Object not accepted.
We do not need to. We don't need to go back for oxygen again. So we've got 15 seconds left. Any other small things in the work area we can clean up. But that's the whole buffalo. That's it. So the value that it gave, the value that it gave was about $4 million salvage value on the ship selection screen. This is 3 million returns, so 75%. You know, you'd have to spend a lot more time separating some of the aluminum from nanocarbon, so it's just faster, more efficient to keep it together and send it straight into the processor furnace. If you look at how much is being saved versus lost, we've lost 1,200 kilograms of aluminum and 62 grams of structural aluminum versus kilograms versus here we go, over 6,300 kilograms of panel and structural aluminum, you know, so 15% of our aluminum is lost, maybe something in there. Nanocarbon similarly, we've lost about 1,400 kilograms of nanocarbon. Here we're salvaging well over 2,200 kilograms of nanocarbon, so we're losing some stuff, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'd call that a whole buffalo. Thanks for watching.